Oh, hi. I didn't see you there. I'm Philbert D, and nobody's watching movies out there right now because there's a virus. But I still am. This is Phil on Films. This week, we're reviewing Motel Acacia and Bloodshot. JC Santos plays a half-Filipino character named JC. He's traveled abroad to reunite with his white father and to take over his business. It's a motel near a walled-off border that supposedly takes in illegal immigrants, giving them a safe haven from the patrols that are hunting them down. But the truth isn't that simple. JC finds out that his father is involved in some very grisly business, the motel home to a dangerous creature that feeds on the guests. The movie feels like it needs to be much longer. The local cut is just over 90 minutes, and that isn't nearly enough time to flesh out all of the film's ambitious concepts. The structure already strains from having to tell several different stories. First half of this movie is a story all on its own. We have a story of a young man who learns that his father is part of something sinister, and he has to decide if he wants to be part of that. Second half, though connected, takes attention in a completely different direction. We get introduced to a bunch of new characters who can't really get fleshed out in the limited time that they're allowed on screen. They basically just become bodies to be fed to the movie's death machine. And the main character's arc gets really messy as he takes on a completely different role in this story. I think there's actually some good stuff in here, but none of it is given the time to breathe. Sometimes feels like the film is being pulled into two different directions. Part of it is this contemplative art horror movie, one that lingers in moments, it stays in the eeriness of its setting, hoping to extract the real-world horrors through some thoughtful allegory. The other part of it is just this 90-minute creature feature, where one that drops all pretense of its symbols and just throws a bunch of people at a monster that wants to kill them. The film is unable to commit to any one direction, and neither side really wins out. Now, I don't think this really worked, but I like the promise involved in the film's very existence. This is a crazy co-production between Black Sheep and Globe Studios with a Malaysian-born director married to a Filipino producer that got funding from Slovenia and Japan, featuring a cast of actors from the Philippines, Malaysia, Belgium, and Australia. This is a truly international production. It features a level of production that feels uncommon. There are moments here where you see a healthy blend of those international influences, mashing them together into something entirely new. Now, again, I don't really think it worked, but at least this film is having that conversation. It points us to a future of international collaborations. We'll work those kinks out eventually. 2.5 stars.
With the technology in your veins, you have an army inside you that will not only make you stronger, it will heal you instantly.
Holy shit.
When we first meet Ray Garrison, played by Vin Diesel, he is an elite soldier on a dangerous mission in Mombasa. He's successful, but as a consequence, he and his wife are soon abducted and murdered. Ray wakes up at a high-tech facility with no memory of his death. It's explained to him that he's brought back by science, his blood replaced by nanites that give him superhuman abilities. Ray's memories soon come flooding back, and he goes all out on revenge, only to discover that there might be something more behind the people responsible for his resurrection. If you told me that this movie came out in the mid-2000s, I'd believe you. That's what this is. It's this big, muscular, VFX-driven flick that has almost active resistance to any sort of sophistication. I think things get bad really early. The second sequence of this film has Ray reuniting with his wife. What's telling about this sequence is that we don't even see her face. We see her body, we see the thin dress draped on her body. Apparently, the face doesn't really matter in this moment. That's what we're fighting for, Ray says, an ambassador for the male gaze. There's little point to parsing the plot. The central conceit is actually kind of interesting, but the plot is really just about getting the character from point A to point B, even if the path there doesn't really make any sense. So we have, your standard bad guy who likes to explain everything that he's doing. He's supposedly this super genius who can track everything, except when the plot finds it inconvenient. There are movies where you were told you have to turn your brain off. This one might require a lobotomy. The action sequences mostly entail Vin Diesel lumbering forward slowly, taking damage, and then regenerating in slow motion. There's one exception, a chase through the streets of London that shows off a capacity for exciting kinetic filmmaking that we don't see enough in the rest of the movie. What we get in lieu of that are a bunch of scenes where Vin Diesel mumbles something incoherently that we barely understand, all in service of a plot that the movie clearly doesn't really care about. 1.5 stars. Let's answer a question. Vector Sigma on Twitter asks, your 2020 films to look out for. All right. More than one person has actually asked this. There were some people who asked this last week, but I don't think I was ready to answer that. So here we go. Phil's 9 films to look forward to in 2020. To start with, let's talk about 3 local films that I'm looking forward to if they come out 2020, because there's no guarantee. Actually, most people, in the Philippines, it's very rare that we get hyped for films because the way the films are produced here is that they're just announced when they're like 2 months away from being released because because of play dates or whatever. Anyway, these are films that have been cooking for a while that I think I'm really looking forward to seeing. First one is Gerald Targ's Darna, which has been in production for like 6 years now. I mean, it didn't start with Gerald, it started with Eric Mati. I've been anticipating this film for so long. I've seen so many different versions of the script. I've seen some rushes that will no longer be used because it's a completely different Darna now and a completely different director. I just want to see it. I just want to see it now. Come on, show us Darna. 2, Martika Escobar's Pagbalik ng Kwago. Ang Pagbalik ng Kwago. This film has been cooking since 2018.
Yeah, Marty.
It's Martika Escobar is one of the most promising young filmmakers today. Her short films are amazing. Her feature film debut is long overdue. So let's see it, Marty. And last is Dodo Dayao's Midnight in a Perfect World. Dodo Dayao, director of Violator, script consultant to pretty much everybody in the Philippines right now, basically, as far as I can tell. The second film, the script is beautiful. It's been in the can for a while. Still looking for a production, for a release date. Hope we see it sometime.
In this year, maybe.
Here are some things that I'm not somebody who really looks at future releases, but there are some things that I'm really looking forward to this year. 1, Prisoners of the Ghostland. That's Sean Sono's English language debut. Sean Sono, I've said many times, one of my favorite directors. This film stars Nicolas Cage, and that's all you need to know. Sean Sono and Nicolas Cage working together. If you are at all either a Nicolas Cage fan or a Sean Sono fan, you should be excited because this is the greatest possible collaboration of all time. 2, The French Dispatch, Wes Anderson. Yeah, it's Wes Anderson, and it looks like the most Wes Anderson film of all time. And it's about publishing, and I came from publishing, and it feels like he's made a film specifically for all the sad people who can no longer work in publishing because there's no publishing in the Philippines anymore. So, thanks, Wes. 3, The Eternals. Now, it's weird to be really excited about a superhero movie in a time when only superhero movies are being made. But The Eternals is directed by Claire Zhao, whose one film, The Rider, is the farthest thing that you could get from a superhero movie. And everything, all the talk around it has been really interesting. All the people involved in it has been interesting. It's very diverse and very interesting, and will point a way forward for blockbusters of the future. Also, I'm just happy for Claire Zhao. The Rider's a great film. You should go see The Rider. 4, Charlie Kaufman has a film coming out this year. It's called I'm Thinking of Ending Things. That's coming out on Netflix. If you're not a fan of Charlie Kaufman, maybe stop watching me because I'm like the biggest Charlie Kaufman fan. He's good. He's good. Watch Charlie Kaufman films. Watch Anomalisa. It's very good. There is a new Candyman movie coming out this year. Most people remember it as kind of as this horror movie from the 90s that nobody really remembers, but it's very important to the Black community, to the African American community in the States. And this new Candyman is produced by Jordan Peele. It's also directed by, I forget her name, but she did this film Little Woods in 2018. And it's not who you'd expect to direct a Candyman sequel. That's also interesting. It's a sequel, it's not a reboot. So there's a whole lot of stuff going on about it, and I really want to see it. Finally, there's this Pixar movie, Soul, that's coming out. The thing that's got me most interested about Soul, I'm generally interested by Pixar movies, but the thing that really intrigues me is that the score is apparently by Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross. And I just want to see what that collaboration brings to children's animation. There you go. 9 films that I'm looking forward to. So thanks for joining us. I know you're all at home probably just watching Netflix or iWant or whatever instead of going out to cinemas. And that's a good thing. Not for the industry as a whole or cinemas, but you know, good for you. Did you know that a bunch of Isao Takahata films are on Netflix now? Go check out My Neighbors the Yamadas. It's very good. Until then, like and subscribe, leave a comment, ask a question in the comments, do all the internet things. And until next time, goodbye internet. Now, The Kit by Rodrigo Roa Duterte can be distributed to different health centers, but at this time, kung kulang, they can be brought to a testing station to RITM. Kukonti lang kasi. The Kit is the Kit. Meron namang lumalabas pa. I think that, sabi ko nga, in every epoch, maybe meron nung una, bubonic plague. Mga gagawang tao nun, tamang-tama lang. Tapos yung Spanish flu. Right before the wars, kawawa yung mga tao. Pero mas kawawa yung sa Middle East, the so-called Roman Empire. You have read the Inquisition. Kung may birthmark ka, you are a witch and you are burned at stake. Thank you.